Ripple's capacity to raise capital is significantly improved as a result of the SEC's decision. This is a big step forward for those who own XRP, as the SEC has now waived that requirement. Ripple is now in a position to obtain as much additional private capital from certified investors as it desires, as there are no longer any restrictions standing in its way. More funding will result in a more rapid expansion and a greater use of XRP. Do not underestimate the magnitude of this. An explanation of what this actually implies and the reasons why holders of XRP should pay close attention to it is going to be provided. However, when we take a look at the market as a whole, we are observing a slight deceleration in activity ever since the beginning of the new week. Bitcoin has had a slight decrease since last night, which has resulted in the dominance reaching a new high of more than 61% not too long ago. It is obvious that this will have an impact on the market as a whole, and we are able to observe that these effects are already taking place. XRP is now trading at a loss of approximately 1.5% against the US dollar and approximately 1.1% versus Bitcoin. It is currently trading at $3.13. The market value is currently at $185.5 billion, and over 8.3 billion trades take place every single day. Prior to proceeding any further, however, I would like to make it abundantly clear that nothing that is shown on this channel is intended to be construed as financial advice. Always be sure to do your own research and read up on the subject. Whenever you invest money in cryptocurrency, we discussed how that matter had been resolved, but what do you think happened? It has been stated by two individuals, namely Paul Atkins and Hector Pierce, that this case is now completely resolved. One example is Paul Atkins. Considering that he is the head of the SEC, has already stated this. As a commissioner, Pierce is not in the wrong. We are now able to shift our attention from the courtroom to the table where the policies are being drafted, as this particular part has now been completed. Developing a transparent set of guidelines that fosters innovative ideas and ensures the safety of our customers ought to be our first objective. The cryptocurrency initiative should be hashtagged, a significant barrier to donations being removed as a result of the SEC, as I have mentioned previously. In what way does this imply? If Ripple makes the decision to go public, this effectively indicates that they have the ability to initiate the process of going public. Also, there are many who are adamant that Ripple will never have an initial public offering, IPO. In the past, Brad Gerlinghouse has stated that they intend to implement an initial public offering, IPO, as soon as this case is resolved. However, it is possible that it will not take place this year because, as I have mentioned in the past on my show, they will be making preparations in advance to make the most of the excitement and to ensure that they do it correctly the first time. Do you know? Do you have any thoughts? Do you believe that a significant number of companies will be unaware of what Ripple is doing and how it has a real-world use case and a great deal of confidence from the period of time spanning around 10 years? Do you believe that a significant number of large investors who meet the requirements won't be interested in purchasing Ripple shares before markets open? In the event that we discuss it, I would like for you all to look at this. By highlighting 211 million more jobs with a total value of $700 million, Vivo Power to Procure highlighted its intended purchase of Ripple shares for around $100 million. This indicates that the active individual ought to aspire to acquire 100 million Ripple shares. On the other hand, this is not a finalized agreement. This is from Vivo Power, and they intend to engage in that AC. Take a look at this now. According to Kevin Chin, the owner and CEO of Vivo Power Commodity, the opportunity to purchase Ripple shares and to reduce the acquisition price per XRP by a sizable amount is in accordance with our objective of developing a long-term treasury model that will endure and provide shareholders with the possibility of long-term gains. As a component of our strategy to construct a portfolio, we want to purchase both XRP shares and XRP coins. By doing so, we will be able to determine the most effective method for maximizing yield while simultaneously reducing the weighted average cost of acquiring XRP. By purchasing Ripple shares, Vivo Power will not only be able to acquire XRP at prices that are up to 86% lower than if they had purchased it on the market, but they will also be able to acquire a stake in the Ripple RLUS stablecoin, as well as other business units such as Hidden Roll, Roads, and Trains, according to Adam Traden, chairman of Vivo Power and a former member of the Ripple board. Matako, which is the reason why you ought to purchase shares in Ripple Lab. In the present moment, Ripple possesses the greatest quantity of XRP coins of any company, with 41 billion XRP tokens valued at $135 billion. The possibility exists for Vivo to acquire Ripple at a weighted average price of approximately 19 billion yen. This is 86% lower than the 135 billion XRP that Ripple now possesses, presuming that there is no value, as you are aware. I am going to explain this to the rest of the Ripple business unit, which includes RLUSD and stablecoins, and I have described it to them. It is important that you take a moment to calm yourself if you are experiencing feelings of confusion. We are going to check into this. To begin, it is important to be aware that Viva Power will purchase XRP tokens at a price of 47 cents per XRP, which is based on the current price of XRP on the market. The remainder of Ripple's operations, including the RLUSD stablecoin, is not affected in any way by this, and it is worth noting that this is subject to significant change. In essence, what this indicates is that in the event that Vivo Power makes the decision to purchase 100 million shares of Ripple, a great number of people are probably pondering how they would get XRP at a rate of 47 cents each coin. Bear in mind that Ripple is the owner of a significant quantity of XRP. In the event that a corporation comes along and acquires a particular number of shares, then they do exhibit some degree of ownership. The fact that Ripple is the owner of XRP is where this all comes into play. Obviously, this makes perfect sense, given that 100 million would be an extremely large number, hence that number would be disregarded. Despite the fact that it is rather difficult to comprehend, what they are essentially stating is that if they invest $100 million, they will receive Ripple shares as well as the greatest exposure to Hidden Road. Also, you should realize that all of that brand new things that they purchased is definitely attracting a lot of attention to them. To put it another way, they are making an effort to plan ahead, but it does not mean that Ripple will agree with this if it is confirmed, said, or any other similar thing happens. I believe that this is too good to be true. What I want you to take away from this, however, is the realization that you need to look at the wider picture. Is the greater picture being brought to mind at the same moment, or is it not? Let's take a look at this. These businesses are aware of what Ripple is doing, and I believe that they will be making preparations in advance to determine when they will decide to go public with Ripple. I believe that the initial public offering, IPO, of Ripple will be the largest in the entire history of cryptocurrency. The reasons for this are the things that we have witnessed in the past, the popularity. Nevertheless, those are the items that you should make sure you don't forget. Really quite fascinating to consider. Please share your thoughts on this matter. In the comments section below, kindly let me know. Due to the fact that Bitcoin and Ethereum were deemed to be too unstable for use in payment systems, the Central Bank of Malaysia announced in July 2025 that XRP might be used as an alternative to bank deposits. It is possible that in the future, private tokens like as XRP could be extensively utilized as a means of payment for items that are not purchased through banks. This will allow them to replace cash and bank accounts. Things that are really extremely cool. So have a look at this. An order that President Trump signed provides China with an additional 90 days to meet the deadline for the imposition of tariffs. It is around 3 months, give or take a few days. Obviously, they have a positive outlook. Make sure you don't forget that we have to find solutions to these tariff issues. In addition, I believe that the market is already aware of the current tax position because it does not appear to be reacting particularly strongly to it. Even though it does respond, it does not go overboard when it comes to tariffs because deals are being struck and negotiations are taking place. Despite everything else in the world, take a look at this. According to Polymarket, the probability that the Federal Reserve would reduce interest rates in the following month has increased to 81.6%. Could you kindly give your thoughts in the comments section if you have any? Please also have a peek at the overall dominance. We were successful in reaching 61%. You've had the opportunity to witness this for yourself over the course of the last few hours. We have returned to our previous level, but you want to see the bulk of us go below 60.4. Incredibly,